Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Not as good as FDR's, but hey, it's something. 98, 2 to 100. Now, I know this episode is coming after a lot of iffy, not so good news. So, before we get into that, I think it'd be best to go over the better things that happened. The things that make, life seem a little more happy, not bleak. So let's get right into the news. First, Virginia has now capped insulin costs to $50 a month. This was a bill that was made by Lee Carter, one of our favorite state reps. DSA, big win. He proposed this bill. The Virginia General Assembly passed it, and Ralph Northam has signed it into law. This isn't and from what I read, this isn't just for the coronavirus. No. As you can see, insulin doesn't really have anything to do with the coronavirus. So this is a real thing that has been done. Insulin in Virginia is now $50 a month. It'll be reflected in later, costs. This is 100% good. Lee has done something great. I mean, of course, it ain't Medicare for all, but we need an intermediate stage. We need to get, what we can do this year, we have to do this year. Then in 2 years, we can get Medicare for all done. The next thing that is, I guess, good. I'm not entirely sure. I'll explain it when, we say it. Former staffer files criminal complaint against Joe Biden over 1993 sexual assault allegation. Now, when I first bookmarked this for this video, it was just on normal Business Insider, but now apparently it's on Business Insider Prime, which is abbreviated to Buy Prime. Hashtag Buy Prime. But basically, Tara Reade is now pursuing a criminal complaint against Joe Biden, thus showing that her story wasn't just a story. It was, at least she thinks it is worthy enough to be done, be brought up, criminal, she's filing a criminal complaint. You don't just do that for, nothing. This is going to buy Biden, because this is as much as Alyssa Milano wants to say, oh, no. Oh, yeah, that bothers me also. Alyssa Milano, I didn't, have a story for this, but, Alyssa Milano, she's, we know Alyssa Milano doing something. She always be doing something crazy because I don't know why. Alyssa Milano, she was being pressured by a lot of people about this Tara Reade story, because this is a very credible story about a woman claiming a sitting U.S. senator at the time sexually assaulted her. This isn't something minor. And this is Alyssa Milano's bread and butter, pretty much, at least in recent years. It's also Kirsten Gillibrand's bread and butter, but that's a totally different tangent. But Alyssa Milano was asked point blank, what's going on? Do you believe Tara Reade or not? And she responded with, well, yes, I believe all women, but I also believe that men should be, I believe men should have their due process and due trial, and we can't discount Joe Biden. And it's so don't believe women. No. And she even went a step further. She tweeted, a tweet at a Bernie supporter calling her out on, this hypocrisy, and she said something about, I don't remember the specifics, but At one point she said, Warren not endorsing Bernie, even though they ideologically agree on a lot, is proof that what Bernie said about Elizabeth Warren and a women not being able to win the presidency was 100% true. And it's like, what? Excuse me. What? This woman is explaining her story about her being sexually assaulted, and you're literally like, nah. Elizabeth Warren says something like, oh, Bernie said that a woman, you couldn't be president. And then Bernie says, no. She's like, I just have to believe him. Like, they say believe women when it's convenient for us, because, I mean, and the thing is, they are not helping their movement at all. Do you want to know why? Because here's what's going to happen. In the future, another Democratic senator, or representative, or other member of government, is going to sexually assault a woman. Now, the woman can't go to her allies, because her allies will turn against her and say, you can't do that. That's a Democrat. You can't do that. And Republicans will turn this around and point out the hypocrisy of these Me Tooers, not ignoring every single Democratic credibility on this issue. Like, it'll be like, well, I mean, Joe Biden was accused of raping people. Why aren't you talking about him? They're already doing this now. The Me Too movement is going to die. It doesn't help me. It doesn't make me happy to say, but it's going to happen. The Me Too movement is going to die. Because that literally ruins the Me Too movement when you literally say, no, not you. When they have a credible story to tell, and you say, no, not this one, you ruin your credibility. Believe women? Well, then, you gotta believe her. Now on to a different thing. Bernie Sanders proposes emergency version of Medicare for all during the pandemic. Sanders and Representative Pramila Jayapal proposed an emergency version of their signature Medicare for all legislation on Friday, the Healthcare Emergency Guarantee Act, which would have Medicare reimburse all out-of-pocket costs for both insured and uninsured Americans during the coronavirus pandemic. Congress has already passed a bill to make testing for the coronavirus free. Democrats have already been pushing for the coronavirus treatment to be cost-free as well. Even President Donald Trump has said that the federal government will pay providers for treating uninsured patients, but this plan for Senator Sanders and Jayapal goes significantly further. The two lawmakers want federal backstop to the millions of Americans who have lost their health insurance due to employment in recent weeks, as well as some financial aid for potentially high costs in hospitalization and treatment for the COVID-19 patients. You see, this is going to be also part of another growing debate in the House and Senate. You see, the CARES Act is, well, not doing so hot at the moment. So a lot of people have been pushing for a second CARES Act. This CARES Act they're trying to get more in it than the last act. Progressives have been pushing incredibly hard to get this CARES Act to be a more permanent solution and a better solution to the previous CARES Act, which literally diminishes all of the things that people were saying before, like, oh, AOC and Bernie, they endorsed and supported this CARES Act. It was a huge bailout to corporations. It's like, they're like, oh, they didn't try to get enough workers' protections or anything like that. It's like, yeah, but this CARES Act, they're trying to push even harder on to get it more lefty and more permanent. So, I think that was the idea. Because remember, we're in the middle of a coronavirus pandemic. We're trying to get what can be done in the short term first, and then in the long term, we'll get a better solution. Now, on to the next story. is a developing story that I haven't really talked about because, it was kind of so-so on both sides for a little bit. But now that the story has finally come to a close, we can finally talk about the TYT Union scandal. I think I may have briefly discussed it in the previous episodes, but I don't know. Basically, here's what was happening. Workers of the Young Turks news network, the Young Turks, you know who they are if you watch this channel. You either love them or you hate them. But basically, the Young Turks, many of the workers of the Young Turks, not the media personalities, but the people who run the cameras, the people who, get Cenk his donuts or whatever. Those average TYT workers were talking about forming a union, and it actually went to an official union organization to form a union, the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees. Now, of course, Cenk, being the most well-known left-wing YouTuber, said the obvious answer, of course not. Yeah, he was adamantly against them forming a union. Just completely against them forming a union. Just, he was just, nope, no union for you. And the TYT employees were naturally mad. They were like, you're the biggest left-wing YouTube channel. Well, you're supposed to be, so why aren't you for the union? Then when Cenk Uyghur's response was that he sent them, he sent a tweet saying, well, look at the people who they went to. They went to the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees. Guess who they endorsed in California District 25? Not me, Christy Smith. And then people were like, well, who cares who they're endorsing? These are your employees forming a union. Why are you not doing this? And it got to the point where Cenk was sending emails and emails and emails to his employees saying no, don't form a union. We're not in the position to form a union. And then he fired a well-known member of the crew that was trying to unionize. And it's wow. I think him and his nephew, Hassan Piker, got into a bit of a spat due to this, because Hassan was in favor of the union and Cenk wasn't. That's because Hassan is further left than Cenk. He's an actual socialist. The National Labor Relations Board had to get involved, but all said and done, the TYT employees finally got to form their union. Now, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy nut, but, I'm in favor of people forming unions. Employees have the right to form unions, no matter who their employer is, but I wouldn't be surprised if someone on the internet, Cenk is kind of the one who's starting this rumor. I wouldn't be surprised if, people wanted to form the union specifically to sink Cenk's campaign. Let me explain. This union, pretty much dismantled a lot of the supposed leftyism that Cenk Uyghur espoused. Cenk is seen as this super huge lefty. Now, he's not, because they're the left was born, the American left was born out of unions. Seriously, you cannot, I repeat, if you are a leftist, you support unions. That is the bare minimum I think it's actually kind of the reason why many people are seeing like a resurgence in leftism, because the new left wasn't exactly in favor of unions. They were more like, the peaceful hippie types. They didn't really care about work or anything. But now that left has kind of retaken the whole union talk of our beginnings, our roots, then we're probably going to be seeing a lot more resurgence, especially considering moderates even try to be like the pro-union guys. Now that we're off the Cenk union busting, Cenk was accused of being like a carpetbagger. Now wouldn't he technically be called like a robber baron? Because robber barons didn't like unions that much. Let's talk about some electoral things going on. First, Ed Markey. Ed Markey is falling short of signatures ahead of the May deadline. Now, for those of you who don't know, let me re-explain. Ed Markey is the senator of Massachusetts. Better senator of Massachusetts. Markey, he is running for re-election, and he's facing a huge primary challenge against Joe Kennedy. Markey's a progressive, Kennedy is not. So we need to keep Markey in the Senate. We need to keep Kennedy out. This might not bode so well for Markey. You see, there are a lot of things that aren't boding so well for Markey. For starters, polling literally has him losing to Joe Kennedy. And in-person campaigning with rallies and such is a no-no right now. So the campaign is now going to be focused more on name recognition, which hypothetically could help Markey, but need you forget, he's running against a Kennedy in Massachusetts. So this might not bode well for good old Ed. Ed, you're the third best senator. We gotta keep you around. If you're in Massachusetts, I would urge you, vote Ed Markey. Donate? I don't know. You can decide if you want to donate. We need to keep the original Green New Dealer in the Senate, and not Joe Kennedy. I'm sick and tired of the Kennedys. No more Kennedys, please. And now we've gotten to the main story of the day. This is the pretty bad story, but I'll have to say it anyways. Bernie Sanders drops out of the 2020 race. Bernie has decided to suspend his campaign. Now here's the thing, a lot of people have been trying to put a positive spin on this, like, no, he suspended his campaign, but he didn't drop out. He's still in the race. Not really. I mean, hypothetically, yes, he could jump back in the race, but he's not. He's not jumping back in the race. Like, let's be 100% clear. There have been some people who have dropped out and jumped back in the race. Ross Perot, Tim Ryan. But Bernie's not. He's dropped out of the race. He cited quite a few reasons for him suspending his campaign. For starters, he says we're in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic, so in-person campaigning, which is the thing that I've been well known for a while, is not necessarily going to be a big thing at the moment. Like, and he's just like, I'm 300 delegates behind, so there's legit pretty slim chance I'll make it. Like, and yeah, it's pretty clear that he is not really going to be making it to the presidential race. He's finished. Now, this isn't a decision that everybody has liked. Some people in the Bernie camp, like Nina Turner and Rashida Tlaib, have been saying that Bernie needs to stay in the race. Even progressive Democrats of America were pressuring Bernie to stay in the race. Like, they were saying, like, this is a big thing. We need Bernie to stay in the race. Unfortunately, he will not. It's a shame. It just stinks. And let me tell you a couple other reasons why it stinks. It doesn't just stink because, the candidate I voted for didn't make the cut. No, it stinks because, let's just be 100% clear. Biden is not going to win. He's just not. I will predict it right now, very simple. Biden will not win. He will not. And you know who else knows this? Democrats. Because the Democrats have actually been saying up front, now we're going to swap out and replace him with someone else. It's like, no. You dug your grave. You're going to sit in it. You dug your grave. Now it's your time to lie down and die. It's over. Climate change will not be solved because Trump will get 4 more years. And you might say, well, no, Biden will not win against Donald Trump. And no matter who they replace, they're not going to be Bernie. So there's no point. Andrew Cuomo's not Bernie. He ain't going to win. And they'll even turn off the people who were adamantly for Joe Biden. They will literally turn off people who were adamantly for Joe Biden. Why? Because at the last second, they're going to switch him out, and they're going to be like, no, I don't want Andrew Cuomo, I want Joe Biden. You were convincing me that Joe Biden's the only electable one, so I can't support Andrew Cuomo because Andrew Cuomo's not electable. Biden's the electable one. Put the electable man in. It's like, seriously. This is just not good. Especially considering the fact that it doesn't even appear that Biden is 100% learning the lesson of the last election. The lesson of the last election was very simple. Don't cheat out the top of the ticket. Don't cheat out Bernie. Did it again. They did it again. They couldn't do it exactly the same way. They had to pull some of their dirty tricks out of the hat. They had to try something new. A little bit of the old, a little bit of the new. Instead of just simply trying to use the people in the media to undermine Bernie, they had to have like 20 more candidates in the race and then all coalesce around Biden. It's just, Biden will not win. That's the very simple truth. I don't understand why people just don't understand this. Biden will not win. And there are people who are like, look at the polls. The polls show that Biden is winning. Hillary was shown winning until the day of the election. The day of the election, Hillary didn't win. Literally every single pollster was saying, like, they ranged from this will be a blowout, Trump will only win one state, to saying, like, Hillary will get, like, 300 electoral votes. Like, seriously, this is just, like, I'm sorry that I'm saying seriously and like a lot, but this was too serious to screw up. And the Democrats screwed it up again. It's just, no. And the thing is, literally, the entire time before the election, they're going to say, like, Joe Biden is going to be the winner. Like, Joe Biden's going to win. Joe Biden's going to win. He won the first debate. I don't even get this notion. The pollsters said, like, Hillary Clinton won all 3 debates. It's like, really? How much of her stuff do we remember from the debates? I'm sorry, what was that? No, you know nothing. What do we know from Bernie in the 2016 Democratic primary debates? Excuse me, I'm talking. What do we know about Trump during the debates? because you'll be in jail. Seriously, we can picture the things that those two said in a snap. We don't remember a single thing Clinton did because nobody cares about her. Nobody likes her. That's going to be the same with Joe Biden. They're going to be like, nope. Nobody's going to care. He's going to fumble around. He might do slightly better because he seems to do slightly better in one-on-one debates. It seems to be the only condition. When he's a 1v1, he seems to do slightly better than he does when, whatever. And I mean, the one lesson that he should have learned at the very least is the olive branch. You need to give the left an olive branch. If you do not give the left an olive branch, they will not turn out to vote for you. Or the young people, you need to give an olive branch. Guess what? They're trying, but it's not working. Democrats have this brilliant strategy. We don't need young people to vote because they didn't vote for someone in the primary. It's I don't get it. They said, we don't need young people to support Joe Biden because young people didn't support Joe Biden in the primary, therefore he could win without them. It's are you stupid? Young people make a lot of Democratic support. Are you? I can't believe I have to explain this to people who have been in the government for 30 years. Why do I have to explain to them their basic knowledge shit? It's like saying to the Democrats, "Oh, we don't need black support." It's are you serious? You're gonna say that. A Democrat is going to say we don't need the black support. No, go ahead. See what happens. I seriously do not understand why I have to explain this shit. And back to the thing I was originally talking about before I went on another tangent. The olive branch. Biden's brilliant olive branch. He knows that young people want Medicare to be extended to everybody. He's proposed a plan to lower the Medicare eligibility age to 60. Youth vote turnout is going to be really high this election. I can tell you that. That won me over to Joanne 100%. I'll tell you that much. But seriously, I can't believe you are inept. Seriously, why does Joe Biden have to be so freaking inept? Another thing that he is trying to use as leverage is the VP candidate. Listen to some of Joe Biden's brilliant choices for the VP slot. Catherine Cortez Masto, Tammy Duckworth, Kirsten Gillibrand, Kamala Harris, Maggie Hassan, Amy Klobuchar, Janine Shaheen, Kirsten Sinema, Karen Bass, Val Demings, Veronica Escobar, Marcia Fudge, Sylvia Garcia, Maxine Waters. Seriously, these are your olive branches to the left. Oh, no. The real olive branches are Elizabeth Warren, Katie Porter, and Ayanna Pressley. Yeah, no. Those are not olive branches to the left. No, wait. There's some other olive branches that people have been trying to push. People are trying to push Nancy Pelosi to be the VP's candidate. How about Tim Ryan? Maybe Gavin Newsom. Oh, how about Michael Bloomberg? These are not olive branches. These are not olive branches. There's even been people floating Tim Kaine again. Because that worked so well last time. Seriously, I don't get why this is so hard for you to understand. But hey, I can't wait to get blamed again for supporting someone who is not Joe Biden, because even though I said this like months ago, like I'm never supporting Joe Biden. Like, I gave a list of candidates you could have chosen from: Bernie, Tulsi, Warren, Yang, Marianne Williamson, Bill de Blasio, Michael Arth. I don't know. I would have taken Jay Inslee. You had options. It's not my fault you didn't listen to me when I gave you my options. Speaking of options, this scenario has left Bernie Sanders supporters without a home. What do we do now? Where should the Bernie support go to? The one thing that pretty much everybody can agree on is not Biden. And, of course, there are the 2 or 3 people who are Bernie supporters, well, I mean, technically 80% of people who are Bernie supporters, that are going to be voting for Joe Biden. And, I mean, if you believe, like, our first, second, and third priority is to get Donald Trump out of office, then, by all means, go vote Joe. But I don't work that way. No. That's not my first, second, and third priority. No. My first, second, and third priorities are policy-based, and as such, I'm looking for a more policy-based candidate to fill in Bernie's shoes. And I have a couple of people I think are worthy contenders for that spot. At least partially worthy contenders. I'm going to go over all of those worthy contenders right here. This podcast will be talking about all these candidates, pros and cons, and we'll see how things go. Now, the one thing that you'll notice is they'll be in an order. I'm going to be doing it in ascending order, or I think descending, whatever. Basically, the first person on the list is going to be on the bottom of the list, whereas the last person I'm going to list is going to be on the top. Alright, so here we go. The first candidate is Reade of the Legal Marijuana Now Party. He was also on a TV show, I think MasterChef, or something like that. Pros, he's pro-marijuana legalization. The party itself, the Legal Marijuana Now Party, is also very social democratic in its thinking. It's sort of a coalition between like more libertarian-ish people and social democrats, especially considering the Bernie Sanders, campaign. Legalizing marijuana is kind of a big thing, so they've kind of coalesced themselves with the left wing more than the right wing. Cons. Reyes seems to be focused on the marijuana legalization, but not on anything else. Like, I've tried to see, if Reade has another platform plank. Reade himself does not. The party does. Again, as I said, they're more social democratic in thinking. Another con is the Legal Marijuana Now parties, ballot lines will be very minuscule. In the last election, I think they were on the ballot in only Nebraska and Minnesota. And currently, there's still, in those 2 states. I think they've expanded to, one other state, Iowa, I think. Yeah, it was like those 3 states were the ones that they had ballot lines in. And they're pretty much going to be stuck in that. They've also kind of tried to form coalitions with other smaller marijuana legalization parties like the Cannabis Party of America and the Marijuana Party of America. But again, those parties, their ballot lines aren't going to be so hot. So, not really a uniter candidate, I guess you could say. The next candidate is Jeff Mackler of Socialist Action. Here's his pros. He's a very adherent leftist candidate who has run for office previously. He ran for president in the 2016 presidential election, but he also formed a coalition sort of endorsing a candidate that had more of a ballot line, Mimi Soltysik of the Socialist Party. So he is kind of a bit of a coalition-ish candidate. Cons, he's too far left. Now that's actually kind of a pro and a con, to be honest. He has pros and cons to it. Like, for example, he thinks Medicare for all is not enough. He wants to fully nationalize healthcare, which is kind of a good thing, kind of a bad thing. I mean, it's good that he believes that, we should have more, but a fully nationalized healthcare plan isn't exactly popular. Even among Bernie supporters, it's not popular. Nah. It's more of a, Medicare for all is pretty much it. Or some form of universal healthcare, but not fully nationalized, I guess. And another con is, like I mentioned before, he kind of endorsed another candidate in 2016, meaning he's not that good on ballot lines. Nah. He's not going to be on that much of a ballot. No. The next candidate is Allison Kennedy of the Socialist Workers' Party. The Socialist Workers' Party has actually been pretty interesting. It's been pretty interesting in regards to its candidate field. They fielded quite a few decent candidates. Bernie actually worked with the Socialist Workers' Party for a little bit, which might actually bode well for the Socialist Workers' Party if they use that. Say, Bernie started his career kind of working with us in our early years. He worked with the likes of Clifton DeBerry. That's pretty good, right? They also have pretty well-known figures like Peter Cameo. Peter Cameo is a pretty cool candidate and is well-known even among Greens because he's been on and off Green Party candidate for a while. Well, until he died, but I even endorsed Allison Kennedy for mayor of Dallas in 2018, I think. No, 2019. So I thought that they were decently good. Allison Kennedy was she's good on policy for the most part, yeah. But she does have cons. For one, she's a Castroist. Well, I don't know if she directly is a Castroist, but her party is Castroist. They fully support Castro. It's not 100% going to bode well. It didn't bode well for Bernie when he slightly praised Castro. You think a party that fully supports Castro is going to be boding well over a decently well point? Nah. Not really. No. Plus, the Socialist Workers' Party isn't as well known as it once used to be. Because believe it or not, the Socialist Workers' Party was pretty well known. It was one of the few minor parties that really got on the ballot in North Carolina for a decent amount of time. For a decent amount of time, it was literally Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, Socialist Workers' Party for every race. Governor, Senate, House, President. I don't know how this party in particular managed to do it, but it did. And now they're not really up to that snuff anymore. Peter Cameo, she is not. Well, for starters, she's alive. Oh, sorry to all the diehard Peter Cameo supporters I offended, but, it's true. Now, I remember I was watching the Socialist Workers' Party, I was watching a video of Peter Cameo doing an interview in the 1972 election, or whatever election he ran for president under. And even though the Socialist Workers' Party is supposed to be a far-left party, I was legitimately, nodding my head and be like, yeah, that makes sense, that makes total sense. Dude, that makes total sense. I don't see why this is a problem. But, I mean, again, she's no Peter Cameo, so I guess it's just preference, I guess. The next candidate is Joseph Kishore of the Socialist Equality Party. Kishore is, well, he was on an episode of Niall Elcom's show. I didn't watch all of it, but I watched some of it, and Kishore seemed good. Like, in his platform, because it's a relatively smaller political party and more adherent to, issues, like he's a journalist on the World Socialist website. He's really good on decent amount of policies like healthcare and imperialism. But cons for him were very interesting. For starters, he's openly affiliated with a large Trotsky group. What's Trotskyism? Trotskyism is a form of communism. Like, it says literally right here on the Wikipedia, communism, revolutionary socialism, Trotskyism, far left. They're part of the International Committee of the Fourth International. Like, they want to take this communism thing worldwide. That is not gonna bode well, 100% no. That is never gonna 100% bode well, no. And the second con is, of course, this party is not much. Let's take a look at the vote totals of the party during its history. 1984, their candidate Edward Wynne got 10,798 votes. 1988, Wynne got 18,693 votes. 1992, Helen Hayward got 3,050 votes. 1996, Jerome White got 2,438 votes. 2000, they weren't even on the ballot. 2004, Bill Van Auken got 1,857 votes. 2008, Jerome White got 18 votes. Write-ins. 2012, Jerome White got 1,279 votes. And in 2016, Jerome White got 382 votes. Yeah, as you can see, the party has had a decent decline in recent years. Another thing that has been a con for Kishore is the day that Bernie dropped out, Kishore said this: "Nothing Sanders said today is surprising. His campaign has always been about bolstering the Democratic Party and bringing social opposition behind whatever right-wing candidate they nominate. A genuine revolutionary socialist movement must be built." Then he said, "Turns out not me, us meant not me, Joe Biden." No. It's gonna be a no from me, buddy. You are aware the last election, socialist candidates got an uptick in votes because they didn't diminish the Sanders supporters, right? They didn't diminish the supporters. They welcomed them. They openly welcomed them. Jill Stein, in particular, she begged Green Party supporters to vote for Bernie in the primaries. If they were in an open primary state. So Kishore openly saying, like, no, Bernie stinks, is just, it's not going to bode well for you. And that's going to tackle into an issue that I'm going to get into a bit later. The next candidate on this list is Mark Charles who's an independent candidate. Mark Charles has been interesting because, I honestly didn't really think his campaign would go that much place. Like, it wouldn't go anywhere. But lo and behold, he's actually doing decently well. Like, he's being invited to a lot of third-party debates. He seems to be getting a lot of grassroots support in a varied amount. Like, the amount that an independent in the early stages of an election can get. But you know what I mean. Mark Charles has actually been doing well in his campaign appearances. He's been making allies in various, groups. And pro number one, he's Native American. So, it's a nice identity politics thing. He uses it well. Like, he talks about Native American issues and was one of the few candidates invited to, like, a Native American forum. Or I think he was just there also. He was there with the likes of Bernie and Warren and Kamala. So he's been making the rounds. And his platform has been pretty progressive. But here's the big con. There are two big cons. Con one, I don't really know his ballot lines. I don't know how many states he's gotten on the ballot in. It's kind of a big factor if you want to be a uniting candidate on the left. If you're not enough ballots to be decently uniting of the left, you're not going to be much of a factor. This is the second con, and the biggest con. The con, I was considering at one point possibly voting for Mark Charles. He was on my radar. And spoiler alert, I sided with Tess has actually placed him pretty high on the spectrum for me, close to me, very ideologically wise. But this is the one thing. Healthcare. I side with Test said. The question is, do you support a single-payer healthcare system? Mark Charles's response? No, because I do not know how to pay for it, but healthcare is a right, not a privilege. Well, which is it? Do you support a universal healthcare system, or do you not? This is kind of a big issue. This is the number one issue for progressives. This is the number one issue for Americans. Seriously. This is kind of the biggest issue of the election. You do realize you need to have a clear healthcare position. And he says it point blank. I do not support a single payer system. Mark Charles, strike one, you're out. I'm sorry, dude. You seem decently progressive on, literally every single other issue you have. Citizens United, marijuana, other drugs, climate change. But this is your one thing. No Medicare for all, no deal. Or not even just Medicare for all. Some form of a single-payer system. It doesn't have to specifically be Medicare for all. It could be a different form of single-payer system. Or a different form of universal healthcare. Something like that. Some of these guys, they don't support Medicare for all. They support something slightly different than Medicare for all. I mentioned before, Jeff Mackler supports a fully nationalized healthcare service. But, Medicare for all, single-payer, universal healthcare, something like that. That discussion of healthcare brings me to my next candidate, Ben Zion of the Transhumanist Party. For those who don't know what the Transhumanist Party is It's a political party with the platform of, if we put all of our money and effort into scientific engineering and such, like, robotics and other science stuff, we can live forever. I know that sounds insane, and kind of is, but the candidates they have do make decent points. Like, yes, of course, the destination that they're going to is dumb, but funding a lot of science, putting a lot of money into scientifically minded solutions to the problems, they kind of resonate. Like, the Transhumanist Party, they're in favor of something called Medicare for All Plus, which isn't Medicare for All Plus, private insurance. They believe in Medicare for All, but it would extend to have more than Medicare for All would have to offer. Because they have the end goal of, robotics to make us live forever. They're very scientifically minded, and they are an interesting, they do have interesting platform positions. Another thing that they have is universal basic income. An issue that is pretty hot and button at this moment. Considering the rise of Andrew Yang and his, whatevers, the Yang Gang and the like. There were a couple candidates that actually had UBI on their platform. In this selection, Andrew Yang, Michael Arth, Zoltan Istvan, who was the founder of the Transhumanist Party, by the way, and Ben Zion. This is going to be very interesting to see Ben Zion and see if he can siphon off some of the Yang Gang support. I would be interested to see, if Yang Gangers, go to Ben Zion. If they go to anybody, I'd rather it be Ben Zion than Joe Biden. But there is one thing. Ballot-wise, I don't think they're going to be that much of a, contender. Zoltan Istvan, who was the candidate in the last election, didn't even get on any ballots. He was a writing candidate in many states. So Ben Zion, I'm not sure how many ballots he's going to get on. Especially considering now there's the whole coronavirus thing, so ballot lines are being placed on hold. So we'll see who is inevitably the best. We'll see if he's able to bring his transhumanism platform to life. The next candidate is Jerome Segal. Jerome Segal is a well-known professor who has been he's been putting himself in the front of the Israel-Palestine issue, and he's, he's pretty well-known, and he's even run for office before. He ran in the Maryland Senate race in 2018 against Chelsea Manning and Ben Cardin. He wasn't running against Chelsea Manning, I hate Chelsea Manning, but, he was running for the same seat as her. I think he was running a more ideological campaign, whereas, Chelsea, don't get me wrong, I supported Chelsea in her endeavor, but she was running more on her name recognition. She had a good platform, but it was mostly just kind of her name. Her name recognition was the thing that was pushing her to the front. Jerome, to be fair, he didn't have much name recognition outside of the people who know about him policy-wise. And Jerome, he's running under the Bread and Roses Party. Now, right off the bat, you might hear some hearkening to the likes of BreadTube or the like. It's a very good, iconography. We've been seeing a lot of iconography of bread for lefties. And of course we have the iconic roses. So it's kind of a broad-based left party. He's even stated in his website, this is a socialistic party, not a socialist party. He's not adherently socialist, but he is socialistic. meaning he's trying to be a multi-tendency group. Now, if you don't know what a multi-tendency group is, I'm going to have to educate you guys some more. Multi-tendency groups are like basically big tent groups for the left. You're a communist? Come on in. You're a socialist? Come on in. Anarchist? Come on in. Social Democrat? Come on in. Progressive? Come on in. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, if you're on the left, they'll 100% let you in. The left wing of this left wing group will be like Marxists and anarchists, and the right wing will be social democrats. Wouldn't that be a more functional world? Where I'm what's considered on the right? You don't lie. If that were the world, you'd be supportive. Although to be fair, I've been kind of drifting away from social democracy. Like, I mean, again, it's probably the best way to get things done in the immediate time period. But having people like Juan Guaido and Carlos Mesa be associated with me, I kind of be like, no, thank you. But one con to Jerome Segal is Jerome Segal has openly stated that he will be keeping his candidacy limited. Like, he's openly stated that he's going to be running a safe state strategy. For those of you who don't know what a safe state strategy is, again, I don't know why I have to educate you, but the safe state strategy is where a third-party candidate will only run in safe states to undermine the spoiler myth, or the spoiler effect if you happen to actually believe in it. The spoiler effect myth, whatever you want to call it, is where, stealing votes from big name candidates, from smaller candidates, or whatever. Basically, he wants to try and undermine that as much as possible. So, he's trying to be like, no, I'm just going to run in these safe states. Which, I mean, it might help him in the eyes of, Democrats, but, when you want to run a full uniting left-wing candidate against the political establishment, you kind of don't want to give them the benefit of the doubt on their, the big thing. You don't want to give them, oh yeah, but I agree with you that third-party candidates could spoil the election, so that's why I'm only going to do it in this way. I could spoil it, but I'm not. That's kind of a no-no. The next candidate is Gloria La Riva of the Party of Socialism and Liberation and Peace and Freedom Party. La Riva is a well-known activist who has run for she's run for president before. Workers' World Party, Party of Socialism and Liberation, Peace and Freedom, yeah. She's run with those parties before. She's a well-known activist. I think she's a part of the Answer Coalition. So, yeah, she seems decent on the issues. She's been fighting for left issues for a while, and she's a well-known activist. So, she has some decent qualities. Cons, again, ballots. Ballots. The ballots are not going to be the best for her. She'll have a decent ballot line, but not enough for her to make a big enough dent. Especially considering now, I think, if I remember correctly, she's running a safe state strategy. A strategy similar to... Oh wait, I actually think she stated that she was... if I remember correctly, I think she specifically stated she would only run a safe state strategy if Bernie was the nominee. So maybe she's changing her mind. Okay, that might actually make a benefit in her favor if I remember that correctly. She either states she's going to run a safe state strategy for a whole, or she's going to run safe state strategy only for Bernie, which is not going to happen, so that might be good. But the second thing is she's an open communist. It's not even just her party. she is specifically, a communist. Like, she has adherently stated she is a communist. And, I keep emphasizing this, but communist. That ain't gonna bode well for anyone. Nobody is going to support a communist in America. Yes, we have been decently well at trying to get rid of the stigma for socialism. But communism, I doubt it. Like, again, she's a decent activist. She's fought against, our regime change wars. She's fought against, a lot of these very bad issues. But I'm going to read her Twitter bio. Her Twitter bio is going to be a thing that solidifies that this might not be the best bet. Gloria LaRiva, PSL member. Okay, Party Socialist Liberation. Yeah, that's her thing. Support Cuba. So. Venezuela. The right wing is gonna use that for, political gain, but, whatever. Nicaragua. Okay, yeah, Sandinistas are more popular. Latin America. Well, okay. We all like Latin America, right? My father's Mexican, so, obviously that we would support that. DPRK. What's a DPRK? DPRK stands for Democratic People's Republic of Korea, also known as North Korea. Yeah, strike when you're out. She's not even saying, like, oh, this thing North Korea did is good. No. She's openly stating she supports North Korea. Strike when you're out. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. No. No. Just no. Okay. Now is the candidate, parentheses S, who will be the top one, the person who is probably the most likely to be the best choice. And that person is whoever the Green Party chooses to nominate. They have quite a few choices to choose from. Howie Hawkins, Dario Hunter, Senator Kinamo Christian Moyo Wasifa Curry, Dennis Lambert, Chad Wilson, Kent Mespley, Susan Bushner Loweski. I forgot her name. She was a more recent candidate. And David Rold. These are all the candidates that the Green Party have been running for their nomination. They have positives, negatives for each individual one. But all in all, these candidates don't seem like a bad bunch. First of all, let me give a pro to the Green Party candidate as a whole. Like, whoever the Green Party nominee ends up being, they will be on the ballot in the most states of any left-wing candidacy. Like, of any of them. Currently, people like Jerome Segal are at one state ballot. Green Party's on, 40-something ballots. I don't remember the specific number, but they're on 40-something ballots. That's way more than one. Now, individually, each of them have had long histories of activism and the like. But the Green Party candidacy is currently being divided into two groups. Group 1 is the group that is officially recognized by the Green Party. Group 2 the group of people who are not recognized by the Green Party. Personally, I've decried the notion of having, like, recognized groups or not. Because the idea of the recognized group idea is that they want to weed out the fake candidates, when none of these guys are fake. I've in fact interviewed one of these people, Synonym, who is not an officially recognized candidate. And I really do not understand why. Look at me, I get it, she hasn't met the threshold, but her record is, I mean, for the Green Party, it's pretty obvious she's not a fake candidate. She's run for the 2008 VP nomination. She founded the Green Party Black Caucus. She ran Cynthia McKinney's campaign in 2008. She ran for president in 2016. I don't think she's fake. Ken Mesplay has run for the Green Party nomination 4 times. Again, that doesn't seem fake to me. Dennis has been running for many Green Party offices in Ohio for a decent while. Doesn't seem fake to me. Chad? Of course he's a fake, he only has 2 senators. Just kidding, that's an in-joke that you don't get. It's an in-joke, you won't get it. I'll explain it a little bit. Honestly, the only person on this, like, group that could possibly not be considered legitimate would be Susan, but that's just because she recently entered the race, while the rest of these guys have been running for a while now. But notice how I didn't mention 3 people, because 3 of them are they are considered legitimate candidates of the Green Party. Howie Hawkins, Dario Hunter, and David Rold. And those 3 are the ones that are more than likely going to end up being the Green Party nominee. More particularly, Howie or Dario. Because Synonym is currently beating David, even though David is qualified and she's not, but, I mean, again, we're not going to split hairs. I'm going to go over these 3, because these 3 have a varying spectrum of positives and negatives. First, we're going to start off with David. David Rold. Here's his pros. He's a decently well-known activist. Like, I mean, if you've seen protests, he's more than likely been there. Like, he doesn't even change his clothes for, like, debates and such. He literally is, like, I mean, I think he literally ran as the protest candidate. But now he's considered legitimate, so he's kind of in it for the long run now. But he has very noticeable cons. Like, these cons literally make me say very, like, I mean, normally I wouldn't say this, but I'm just gonna openly say it. If Dennis is the Green Party nominee, I honestly don't think I can vote for him. Like, seriously, I honestly do not think I could vote for him. Why? Well, let me give some of the cons. For starters, he just kind of comes off weird. Like, I mean, like, every time he's in a debate, he's in a group or anything, he'll be like, first off, I want to start off by saying that this is stolen Native American land. It's like, yeah, cool. We know that. We took a basic history class. I guarantee you, you're in a room full of people who are 18 plus. We've all taken history. Seriously, we've all taken history. We know that this is stolen Native American land. You don't gotta remind us. Okay, but he's also pretty. He's he's a communist again, which, I mean, that in and of itself wouldn't be necessarily bad, but some of the views he espouses are definitely like, what? Okay, for starters, one of the things, and this isn't even something like I have to dig up, but I have to kind of dig it up, but he like wears a thing, like pretty much all of his appearances, a sash that says "Long live the Syrian Arab Republic." And it's like, didn't people like openly hate Tulsi for slightly meeting with Assad? And now this guy's openly stating he likes Assad? And saying "Long live Syria's Republic"? Okay, it's definitely not the best thing he's put. But I mean, it's not like he said worse things. That's when he says that he supports Hezbollah. You know, Hezbollah, the Shia Islamist political party and militant group. You know, jihadists, you know, anti-Semites, these, like, you could, like, I mean, I get it, the Palestine, but, I mean, I'm not saying don't support Palestine, but you're literally gonna say support Hezbollah. I'm not gonna go with no. He's also stated that on another sign, restore socialism, reunite Soviet Union. Again, no, don't do that. It's literally no. But honestly, the one that makes me go no, like absolute no on, is David Rold posted on his Facebook a picture that is in the iconography of one of his signs, which I assume he drew himself, I guess, with a caption, and it says, and the picture is of the Twin Towers with a sword or a beam of light shooting through them, causing the explosion, but the line forms into the Israeli flag at the end, saying US/Zionists did 9/11, US/Zionists created ISIS, stop war for lies no more. Yeah, I'm never going to vote for David Rold. Never. Just no. I'm surprised this didn't come up in any of the debates. Dario, I give you free rein to use this in the debate. You're Jewish. Go ahead. I wouldn't mind. Next is Dario. Dario is seen as the... I guess at this point he's kind of the anti-Hawkins candidate. Which I'll explain why we might need to hear the anti-Hawkins candidate in a little bit. Dario is... He has one advantage over the rest of these guys. You want to know what that is? He's actually been elected to political office. He's miles ahead of the rest of them. I'm sorry, the rest of you guys, but Dario, he's actually been elected to something, so let's give him at least that. He got elected. He's not really faced that much criticism during the Green Party primary, to be honest. Not really. He's mostly been well liked. And he's in second place in regards to vote totals and delegate count, so Dario seems well liked. Especially considering he's a minority. He's gay, he's Jewish, he's black. He's like a decently well liked candidate, and he's even gone so far as to pick a running mate very early on in the race. He's ambitious, I'll give him that. But the biggest name in the primary is Howie Hawkins. Howie Hawkins is the presumed most likely candidate of the Green Party. Look, we'll explain why that is in a second. I've been saying that for like a million years, but let's look into his pros and cons. Pros. Howie's a huge, well-known leftist. He's been pretty much on the front lines of a lot of left-wing movements. When he was a kid, he was in support of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, which was a group of African Americans who left the Democratic Party to, like, openly support integration. He's also been, like, adamantly supporting the Peace and Freedom Party when he was in California. He supported, like, Ben Spock in his presidential run. Like, when he was a young lad, when Bernie was first starting his political career in 1972, Hawkins was a activist who was helping him out. And Hawkins has kind of a huge ambition this election cycle. You see, Hawkins, he doesn't just want to be the Green Party nominee. No. That'd be too much. I mean, that'd be too little. He's trying to build a left-wing coalition, an independent left party. He's trying to, and this is something that hasn't been tried in a while now. At least not as well as in 1924 with Robert M. Follett. He's been running in a lot of smaller left-wing campaigns, like Oregon Progressive Party, Liberty Union Party in Vermont, Peace and Freedom Party in California. Like, he's been running in quite a few parties, and has been making some rounds, some not rounds. He's also he's currently the nominee of the Socialist Party USA. So that is one part of his coalition formed. And especially now, he's trying to form a coalition with Bernie supporters. Saying I mean, one day he literally said two things that literally kind of pushed Bernie supporters to him. The first thing he did was, say, when he did this thing when he was during an interview, where he gave the option for Bernie to join the Green Party ticket, head the ticket. The thing that Joe Stein did in 2016. He did that while simultaneously going Bernie, I worked with you in the past. I know you well. I know that when you keep a promise, you keep a promise. So I know you say you might want to support Joe, but honestly, we need to work together. And he also stated, the day of the election, him and Dario separately made live streams where they would unite and come get the Bernie Bros. Come on, Bernie Bros, you know you want to come here. You know you want me. So that's what he was doing. And he even stated he's been trying to push himself as the true Bernie successor. Although sometimes he doesn't do it the nicest way. For example, how he made a post, a graphic for his, whatever, saying Biden is Bernie's second choice. Who's your second choice gonna be? And then he next to a picture of him, he puts the words, the original Green New Dealer. And it's kinda has a point. He kinda has a point, to be honest. I'm just saying. He's the OG Green New Dealer in America. He kinda has a point. One con, there's some cons for Howie, obviously. The first con that many people point out is he's a Russiagator. Yeah, so was Bernie. Question over. Now, he has done, he's explained his Russia position. But honestly, again, it's pretty similar to Bernie's. he believes Russia rigged the election for Donald Trump. But that's pretty much it. I mean, I think he said one thing about like how Assange, what he either unintentionally helped, like they were saying something like how Assange unintentionally helped him, but whatever. I don't know specifically. But people have been trying to hammer this into people's brains, like, oh, how is a Russiagator? How is a Russiagator? You can't trust him. He's a Russiagator. And it's like, really? I mean, he's pretty much it. And the second thing people say is a con is that they're saying that he's breaking the Green Party's rules. Because the Green Party's rules are very simple. You have to be a registered Green to run as a Green. That's the rules. Simple enough, right? Well, many people many of his opponents, like Chad Wilson, said like, oh, how can he ran for the Socialist Party nomination. How can he claim he's a member of the Green Party if he ran for the Socialist Party nomination? And it's like, that can be debunked easily by just saying like, he ran in a closed primary state for like 1 million years. You have to be registered as a Green to vote in Green primaries. You seriously think that they never checked? They never checked how he'd be like, are you actually a Green? Like, seriously. It's pretty obvious he's a Green. He helped create your party. Of course he's a Green. But the one thing that has been the most credible thing that I do still go, that does seem interesting, is the claim that Howie is having the scales tipped for him in the Green Party primary. Now the thing is, that's not entirely false. Maybe some of the people are exaggerating parts of it, but for the most part, yeah, it is kind of true. Like, for example, many prominent Greens have endorsed the Howie campaign. And, like, when I say many prominent Greens, I don't just mean Greens that are well known. I mean Greens that have been, like, in high-ranking positions in the Green Party. Like, one of the Green Party national co-chairs is endorsing the Howie campaign. Now, that seems like a little bit of a conflict of interest. Why are you endorsing the candidacy of one particular candidate in a party's primary when you're supposed to be the objective top head of the party? It doesn't seem 100% fair. The second thing is, there have been videos, and I'll link the Facebook group Independence Media Network. William Pounds, I've been on his show once, and he's been decently good at this. He might, like, he emphasizes the whole Russiagate thing, which is like, you know, and he's like super anti-Bernie, and I'm like, nah. But at least watch this stuff that's kind of like Green Party stuff, like how the other candidates get treated, because there was a recent thing that happened, like, where a big name Green Party official, like went to the other Green Party candidates, like Senator Chad, and David, and were like, boo, get off the stage, you can help by leaving. It's like, what? This is one of your 10 planks is like grassroots democracy. So I think maybe you should let the grassroots democracy play out. Like, yeah, you need to let the grassroots democracy play out. Now, is this necessarily the Howie campaign pulling the strings? I don't know. I mean, I've talked with some people in the Howie campaign. And by some, I mean one, Kevin Zeese. And I don't know. I definitely got the vibe that they didn't seem to care about the issue. But, I mean, it could also be it's again, comparable to Donald Trump. Is he saying don't investigate Russiagate because it's a waste of time? Or is he saying don't investigate Russiagate because he's actually colluding with the Russians? Did you think of that? That's kind of the same. It's kind of a similar situation I get from this. Are they saying don't talk about Howie being the favorite of the party because, he's not, and this is just nothing? Or are they just trying to hide the fact that they're pulling the strings in favor of Howie? I made the argument very early on that, it's common for the Green Party to do this. The Greens, Jill Stein, this is the thing people don't actually remember. But in 2016, during the Democratic Party National Convention where Jill Stein was running around and everybody was like, we need to campaign again around Jill Stein. Jill Stein wasn't the nominee yet. She wasn't nominated by the convention yet. It's kind of a similar situation with Howie. Howie's running as if he is the Green Party nominee, because he's assumed to be the Green Party nominee at this point. When Greens were trending on Twitter, Howie's name was trending. Not Synonym, not Dario, not David, not Chad, just Howie. Again, Howie is, even if the scales weren't tipped, I still think Howie would be the inevitable Green Party nominee. He just has a longer history of activism with the Green Party. Now, don't get me wrong, none of the other candidates are bad, but I'm just saying the simple objective truth. Howie is more than likely going to be the Green Party nominee. Whether you say he got there by rigging, or the party actually likes him, he will be the Green Party nominee. Would he be a bad messenger for the Bernie movement to move to? Not really. Howie would be a good messenger. He has done a lot of good. Do not get me wrong, he's done a lot of bad too. He's misgendered Chelsea Manning 15 times. Okay, that's a slight exaggeration, but you get my point. He's misgendered Chelsea Manning a lot. He attributes it to the fact that he knew Chelsea during the whole Bradley Manning thing, back when she was Bradley. But, people are like, dude, you can simply just stop misgendering her, please. But Howie's also an old man, let's be fair. To be honest, if I were to compare Howie to the Democratic primary, he'd literally be the two frontrunners. He'd be Bernie and he'd be Biden. Sometimes his foot will be in his mouth, but he does talk the good talk in regards to policy. So he is a good candidate. He knows how to run a candidacy. He's run for office for quite a few offices, let's be fair. And prior to Howie's running, he got a decent amount of signatures of people who were legitimately we want to see Howie run. And yeah, I think he'd be a decent candidate. Now, with all that said and done, it's obvious the Green Party is the biggest potential figure, and, Howie would probably be that figure. But there is one slight aspect that is, interesting. One thing I've been hearing some people like Niall Elkin been saying, they've been saying that, it would probably be best for, all of the left parties to coalesce and unite as one so that we could take down the establishment as a united left-wing front. Yes, that would be a good idea. The problem is that's never going to happen. Why? Very simple. If that were to happen, would we have not already done that? Do you know how many Trotskyist parties there are in the United States? 4. And let's take that and add it to other socialist parties. Peace and Freedom, they're socialist. Socialist Party USA, Liberty Union Party, Workers' World Party, Socialist Workers' Party, Party of Socialism and Liberation. Those 3 communist parties. Do you really think that we'd have this many left-wing parties if we were interested in coalescing? No. And here's the thing. The thing that can divide these smaller parties can literally be the most minute things. Literally, Socialist Workers' Party were people who were part of the Socialist Party that liked Leon Trotsky over democratic socialism. That was it. They were literally split over the most minute details because it's their specific form of leftism or the highway. And I hate to break it, but Movement for People's Party, they could have been that uniter. Because apparently they were forming coalitions with everybody. They were forming Socialist Alternative, Greens. They even got some libertarians to somehow get in on this fray. But it didn't pan out. Because it's always going to be their way or the highway. That's the unfortunate truth. A mass workers' party would be good. It would be a way to unite progressives or just normal average people who don't even care about Leon Trotsky or Marx or Norman Thomas. Any big left-wing thinker. A mass workers' party would be good, but unfortunately, the U.S., with our leftist parties, they're not gonna unite to bring that. And the thing is, we had that opportunity. But unfortunately, I don't know what happened. Moving for People's Party, I don't know what happened. They literally went from, forming this massive workers' party that everybody was on board with, and then just disappeared. They posted a video on YouTube using Powtoon talking about how AOC and Chua Garcia were not the true wins of the election because they're working on the ballot to get 2022. But, why not do it now? Or better yet, why didn't you do it yesterday? By yesterday, I of course mean 4 years ago. Why not? Could you imagine an alternate scenario where this group had actually pushed forward and we were now having this massive workers' party to combat the two-party system? Two-party system would be over. They wouldn't be able to compete. But no. Instead, nah. Third-party opportunities in America, they always get wasted. And I'm a huge third-party guy. Look at my channel. I'm a huge third-party guy. So, for you lefty Bernie bros and progressives, or social democrats, whatever you want to call yourselves, the best bet is Howie. Or whoever the Green Party nominates, if it's not Howie. Howie, Dario, Sydenham, whoever it is. Just know it has to be the Greens, because the Greens, they are the ones at least trying to be the uniters. The ones trying to lead the charge. Everyone else is not doing so. So yeah, it's gonna be greens going into November. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified when a future video of mine comes out. And if you're interested in more content from me, you can go to my website or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Quora, or check out my articles on the Independent Political Report.